For some, it is a place of beauty and natural wonder. For others, it is a region of great scientific importance, home to more coral and fish species than any other location on Earth. For the 363 million people who live here, however, the Coral Triangle, an area of 6 million square kilometers covering the oceans of Indonesia, Malaysia, Papua New Guinea, the Philippines, the Solomon Islands, and Timor-Leste, is the source of life itself, providing them with the marine resources they need to survive. Today, growing human populations and greater demand for food are threatening these resources. Overfishing, unsustainable fishing, pollution, climate change, and disappearing species like turtles and tuna are serious problems that are endangering the survival of this region and the people who depend on it. In recognition of the urgent need for action, the Coral Triangle Initiative, or CTI, a multilateral partnership to safeguard the Coral Triangle's treasures, was formed in 2007 with the support of 21 nations. As part of such global assistance, the United States Agency for International Development, or USAID, has approved the 5-year Coral Triangle Support Partnership, or CTSP, a project being implemented by environmental organizations such as the World Wildlife Fund, the Nature Conservancy, and Conservation International. The CTI's Regional Plan of Action, ecosystem-based fisheries management, is essential to developing the practice of mariculture in the CTSP priority area in Coral Triangle countries such as the Philippines through a National Plan of Action, or NPOA. These goals are being pursued in communities across the Philippines. The CTI's Regional Plan of Action and its 3 main goals, ecosystem-based fisheries management, marine protected areas or MPAs, and climate change adaptation, are being applied by the CTSP in priority areas of Tawi Tawi, the Philippines' second largest producer of seaweed. Here, in a region rich in coastal resources, people rely heavily on seaweed farming for their main livelihood, an industry that was worth 2.8 billion pesos in 2010.
Tawi Tawi is a major producer of seaweeds in the country. And most of the people in Tawi Tawi is also very much dependent on this livelihood.
Ang mga tao sa ibot ko, kasi kung hindi dahil sa seaweeds, ang mga tao siguro nandun na sa Borneo, maghanap ng kabuhayan. Kung walang seaweeds, walang hanap buhay.
Mga 1984, nag-umpisa na nagkaroon ng punduhan. Bawat farmers came to Sitangkay to advent this seaweeds farming. Doon na rin sila tumitira, doon na sila natutulog. Lahat-lahat na, pumupunta lang sila ng Sitangkay para mamili ng gamit nilang kailangan pang araw-araw.
Research and technical assistance to the local government for mariculture management is leading to better and more sustainable farming practices in the municipalities of Languyan, Sitangkay, and Sibutu, with the hope of improving the lives of poor farmers and impoverished communities, and ultimately creating long-term economic stability.
To enhance more productivity, the government established this mariculture park to serve as a pilot for rearing groupers and other live food fish to feed into the live food fish trade.
Capacity building and training are also giving local development leaders the means to take responsibility for their own future. A sustainability assessment of seaweed farming and fishery profiles of important species, such as the humphead wrasse, are giving people a deeper and more practical understanding of their primary resource in relation to the marine ecosystem it is part of. Training in law enforcement and fisheries and coral assessment is also helping locals better manage existing marine protected areas. Management plans for these areas are being updated and new sites being considered in Sibutu, particularly for humphead wrasse habitats and spawning areas. Because entire communities in Sitangkay live in houses on stilts above the sea, climate change adaptation is a major concern, not just for choosing areas for seaweed farming, but for deciding where and how people will build their homes. Climate change adaptation plans for Sibutu and Sitangkay have been developed and are ready for implementation. In time, it is hoped that such practices, along with a greater awareness of the environment, are incorporated in local policies and become a way of life in a place where man remains constantly at the mercy of the forces of nature. Working with local government and other stakeholders for common goals has heightened the community's involvement in finding long-term solutions to their unique concerns.
When you look at small island communities like Tawi Tawi, you have to understand that their ability to use groundwater is extremely limited, and very often they're constrained to catch this water from the rain. They also have very little surface water, which are the three major sources. The Coral Triangle program serves more than just to conserve coral reefs or to keep water clean. The Coral Triangle should also serve as a technological bridge by which we're able to furnish communities such as those in Sitangkay and Tawi Tawi with the information, with the technology to produce water.
We are doing some studies now to look into the vulnerability of the communities here in Sitangkay in terms of climate change. Since seaweeds is their primary livelihood, we look at the possible impacts of climate change on seaweeds and also on the various infrastructures, because the people in Sitangkay here are dependent on rainwater, so most probably we have to also work with them in coming up with some management measures to ensure that the livelihoods that they have here will still be sustained and in the event that there will be climate change.
Kahekaan ang manusia mito makibuhi ulan. Pag walang ulan, talagang nahihirapan ang mga tao dito.
Itu baril kami, pangisihan bohe. Ni bohe tutu ni inom, pamala, pangose, makapamandi. Bang umba na ulan sa gasupunglo, umba na niya bohe kami.
Good governance, systematic environmental and resource management, and shared responsibility for stewardship of what they have been given are valuable lessons that the people of Tawi Tawi can use to strive for a life of greater abundance and harmony with nature.
What we hope to see here is that the improved governance for the people there to have their self-determination to sustain their own livelihoods, and also make sure that the benefits would redound to the common citizens of the area.
Sir labigi hap na minbe palabe mawak tutenaan manisos nisong pasal marikorcho makaya agar-agar.